Welcome to Basic Brewing Radio for Thursday, December 15th. I think it's the 15th.
The Ides of December.
This is a special edition of Basic Brewing Radio, and we're all about homebrew.
All about homebrew.
Here at Basic Brewing Radio, but it's special for two reasons. One, I have my good friend Steve Wilkes here with me to do the show. And number two, in addition to the regular audio podcast, we're doing a video version as well. So, how exciting is that?
It's great.
And the reason that we're doing it is because we're set up, got the cameras and lights set up for our all-grain DVD. We're going to be shooting some of that today and tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And I thought, since we got it all set up...
Why not? Let's go for it.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
So, if you've got a video iPod, you might want to check on the website to see if this podcast has been posted yet. And, since in this instance, the content is going to be the same on the audio as the video, you might just wait and listen to the podcast and watch it at the same time on your video iPod. So,
very cool.
I'm not going to put this video content, since this is an experiment, I'm not going to put the video content on the podcast feed. You'll have to go to the website and click on the link in this episode description.
Okay.
Because I don't want, say, people with dial-up connections to think that they're downloading the regular audio episode and then, be swearing at me.
Absolutely.
When they're downloading all that stuff. So anyway, it's an exciting thing. It's an experiment this time. Take a look at it on your machine. This is kind of a beta test.
It's the beta version.
And see if you like it. Send us some feedback. And who knows, we may do some of these again in the future.
Yeah.
So, anyway, welcome to Studio B.
Studio B.
Otherwise known as the garage.
I don't know. It's got Letterman written all over it.
You take what you can get. And I've got the comfy chairs.
Yep.
And I want to do three things today. First of all, we've got our experiment with doing extract brews in two different ways. And Steve can't remember. I think I've told you.
Yeah, we talked about this, I don't know, a week or two ago. And you said, here's what I'm going to do. And I said, that sounds great. But now I can't remember what's what. So I'm perfect for this test because I'm the guinea pig.
You'll be a blind
tester.
So we'll try these two different beers.
Yeah.
And we'll see what differences that we taste in. Mm-hmm. Also, we have an interesting experiment in that we've got 3 batches of the same recipe.
Oh, the Amerikolsch.
That's right.
Oh, this will be great. You'll love this.
So two I did.
Yeah.
In fact, they're my first and second batches of all grain. Mm-hmm. And the third one was your first batch of all grain.
That's right.
And we differed in the process a little bit between each batch. So it'll be interesting to see.
But same recipe.
Same recipe.
Yeah.
And I know that we'll be able to taste some difference between the first batch and the second batch. But it'll be interesting to see if we can... Anyway, we'll get to that. I'm getting ahead of myself. So, and also, the third thing is we got some responses to our holiday wish list request.
I'm sure there will be lots of things for Santa to put in their stockings.
That's right. They'll have some big stockings for some of these things.
Yeah. Now, how can we get, the significant other to listen to the podcast?
Well,
that's what we need to have.
Casey from Siloam Springs, when we read his, he's a sneaky guy.
He's got it figured out?
And he got that covered.
All right.
So what do you want to do first? Do you want to taste the experiment first? I think we should taste the beers first and then go into the...
I think that's wise.
Holiday wish list.
I think that's wise.
Because I think it might be more fun to read this stuff after we
or more of
had
a
couple of beers.
Yeah.
it's about lunchtime.
Oh,
so we get more bang for the buck out of the homebrew today.
That's right.
So you want to do the experiment first, or do you want to do the Amerikolsch?
I don't know. I think let's do the experiment first.
Okay.
And then, since it's an experiment, we may need a palate cleanser. But we don't know.
Yeah, that's right.
So
let's try it. Now, here's what we've got. This is kind of the control of the experiment.
This is the placebo?
Yeah, there's no beer in there. And then this is the the experiment part. Now get you a glass.
Okay.
Or actually, we get a couple of glasses.
A couple of glasses. Yeah, we'll need 2 glasses.
I tell you what. Now, first of all, I want to point this out. These are growlers from the same establishment. One, this is when the brew pub, the local brew pub, first started, and they've since changed ownership. And for those of you who are listening, one is clear, the first one is clear, and the other is brown. One displays the beer rather nicely, but
oxidation
or skunking. It suggests it subjects it to light.
Yeah.
So you can get some skunking on the hops. The other one, Chris Milam, the new head brewer at this brew pub, said that he wanted brown glass because he cares about the beer.
Cares about the beer.
Not that the other guy didn't care about the beer, but anyway.
All right.
So here we go. And this has been in this growler for a week and 3 days. So it's not mature, but hopefully it'll be mature enough to where we can taste differences. And hopefully it's not just the nastiest stuff we've ever tasted.
Sure, it will be.
It'll be interesting. Smells like beer.
Well, that's a good step.
Now, it may not be very pretty. There's yours.
Okay. So what we're looking for is a difference in taste between the 2 examples.
That's right.
Okay.
Now, there's your first one. There's my first one. Now, should we pour them?
Yeah, let's pour them so we can
see if we can
see any visual
see a difference.
Okay.
Now, how would you describe the color of that of the first one, Steve?
Straw colored, a little bit of a caramel color, very light. You didn't ask me about the smell, but it has a really light, pleasant smell.
Okay.
I think it smells like good beer. It's cloudy. If I had to guess just by looking at it, I'd say it was some kind of a wheat beer, but that's just, if you just had handed it to me.
Right.
So what is this? Oh, I don't know. Wheat beer.
Okay.
The other one looks about the same.
We poured the second. Now, first of all, can you tell any difference between the 2?
The first beer is a little darker.
A little darker. That's an interesting observation. That kind of figures into the experiment. So now we'll taste.
We'll taste.
This is the control. We'll taste the control first.
All right. That's really good.
That's tasty.
Not bad. Get a little carbonation in that, and let's call it good.
Actually, that's
really quite good.
That's very good. It's very
it's hoppy. It's sweet and hoppy. It's sweet and hoppy.
Sweet and hoppy.
Yeah.
It's very citrusy. And I'll tell you that I used Cascade hop pellets.
Wow.
Used Cascade hop pellets.
That's excellent.
Each one of these has started the boil with 3 quarts of water.
Okay.
And I used 2 cups of light dry malt extract and 1/4 ounce of Cascade hop pellets in each for bittering.
That is the recipe.
That's the recipe.
But how you
the
process
is different. Okay.
I have to taste this one more time.
Okay. Well, that's not a bad idea. It's pretty good stuff.
Man, that's really good. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm surprised at how good that is. Okay. Here. Number 2. And I meant to get some water, but I forgot.
Cracker or a little
something.
Yeah. If this is white wine, we'd have some brie. But it's not.
It's not. And we don't have any.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
This doesn't have anywhere near the bouquet.
No, it doesn't. Ooh.
It's good too, but it's different. To me, this has more sweetness.
The first one.
The first one. It has more of this is a flatter taste. Now by flat, I mean, in the first beer, I get this hump of sweetness that goes away, and then I get a hump of hoppiness. They're both very nice, but they're very separate things in my palate.
Kind of a dual hump.
Dual hump. A dual hump camel.
Now, how would
this
you
is like a
describe the
single
second?
hump camel. I'm tasting the hop up front and all the way through, and I'm tasting the sweetness up front and all the way through. But neither, to me, are as pronounced.
Interesting.
What do you think?
This is more bitter. Mm-hmm. Would you say it's more bitter?
Yeah, I would. And maybe that's why I'm not getting that sweetness. You know, I think this is well balanced, but it's different. There's
Which one? The first one?
The first one I think it's well balanced, but it's definitely got a boom boom in flavor to me. And this one kind of just goes like that.
Meaning a single for those listening.
Yeah,
the foom foom is a double hump, and the wah is just the one.
Yeah.
So interesting. Now here's what I did.
Wow, that's really good though.
Yeah, the second one's good. They're both good, and I'm surprised that they're both good. Okay, here's the scenario. Here's what happened.
All right.
A couple of episodes ago, I gave some advice to someone who is brewing high gravity, low volume extract beers. And I got to remember to look at the camera
every now and then. This is a beta broadcast.
Yeah, this is a test.
This is a test.
This is only a test.
If you see anything on your screen, just ignore it.
Okay, so he was worried about brewing in only 2.5 to 3 gallons of volume. He's doing a split boil. He's worried that he was not getting. This is Matt, and I can't remember where Matt was from. Pardon me, Matt. I should have gotten that out on my notes. He was concerned that he was not getting the bitterness that he wanted out of his hops because of the high gravity. Once you get, I think, over 1050, 1.050 in specific gravity, your hop utilization starts to suffer, and you don't get the bitterness that. So if you wanted to brew like a 1050 beer, and you're boiling only half of it, then you've got to start with a wort that you're boiling of 1100 or 1.100, and that's going to cut down on your hop utilization.
Right.
So my advice to him was start with just water, boil your hops only.
Pull the hop flavor out first.
Pull the oils out of the hops and isomerize them. And we've only.
I'm going to challenge you to say that again after
we said the second tasting.
Yeah.
Okay. And maybe I can say saccharification as well. So anyway, you pull the bitterness out, and then you add the extract in the last 15 minutes of the boil because, as we talked with Bob Hansen, all you need to do with the extract is to sanitize it.
Right. And
there's some people that say you don't even have to boil the extract at all. You just add it after the boil, and you're good. But I think Bob and I agree that you feel more comfortable in sterilizing your extract.
So you could just add the extract like the last 15 minutes.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
this is a new process to me. This is a great idea.
So after I said that, John Palmer was listening because we were running the second half of his interview. He emailed me and said that he was worried about boiling hops in water alone because he was afraid that we'd get some grassy off flavors from the hops. So I said, well, that's, he knows more about brewing than I do, has more experience in doing this kind of advice kind of a thing. So I emailed Bob Hansen to see what he thought about that issue, and he didn't have an opinion one way or the other. So I said, I hate to give advice to people when I haven't tried it myself.
Yeah.
So what I did was I set up this experiment. Two brew pots side by side. Start out with 3 quarts of water in each. Brought them up to boil. Added the extract and the hops in at the same time on the first one that we tasted. The second one, I just added the bittering hops to just the water. And then last 15 minutes of the boil, I added the extract. And I sprinkled it for aroma and flavor rather. I sprinkled just a few hop pellets in each, just for fun. So, and in the meantime, after I started that experiment, I talked to Chris Colby of BYO Magazine for an upcoming interview. He's the editor of BYO Magazine. Mm-hmm. And he expressed the same concerns that John had over boiling the hops in water alone.
A grassy off flavor.
Grassy off.
That was the concern.
That was the, well, I can't remember if Chris had that same observation, but he was worried about extracting bad stuff from the hops in just water alone. So tasting these two,
I don't get that at all.
I don't get the grassy off flavor, but I do get quite a noticeable amount of difference in the bitterness.
These to me are two different beers. Mm-hmm. I mean, these are not the same beer. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, it does make a difference.
I think
they're both good.
Now the advice that John and Chris had, if you're concerned about getting a grassy off flavor of your beer, is to add part of your extract at the start of the boil. And John said that he likes to add enough extract at the start of the boil to get up to 1030 or 1.030 specific gravity. And I was worried that if you're a beginning brewer, you're not too sure what specific gravity means. And what advice can I give to beginning brewers so that they won't freak out and say, oh my God, I have to measure with a hydrometer to even get into the boil. And, I want to make this process as basic as possible. So I asked Chris Colby, his take on that. And he said, just add a quarter of your amount of extract at the beginning of the boil, or even an eighth.
It's going to split the difference.
Yeah. And the issue is alkalinity, he said. Oh. And the malt extract, adding the malt extract kind of takes that
changes the pH or takes it out.
Yeah.
How interesting. This is a great experiment. Boy, the first beer is a milder beer, I think. Mm-hmm. And it's sweeter. It's not cloying. It's not a kind of ooh, that's sweet. It's not like that. Mm-hmm. But it's a sweeter beer. The second beer is definitely bitter, and in hindsight, I mean, the second time I tasted, I think it's better balanced too, because you're getting all to my palate. I mean, other people can disagree with this, but to my palate, I'm getting every flavor at every second in the beer that you boiled the hops separately.
I prefer the second one. I prefer the one where the hops were bittered, or hops were added at the beginning of the boil with no extract. Also, what we pointed out in the beginning is that the one where I added the extract all of the extract in the beginning of the boil is noticeably darker.
Yeah, it is. It's a lot darker.
It's like a shade or two darker than the one that we added the extract, or I added the extract to the last 15 minutes of the boil. So if you're making a beer that you want to be really light, and it's an extract brew, think of adding the majority of your extract the last 15 minutes of the boil.
Yeah.
But, when we first tasted the first one, I really liked the taste of that. Very malty, very sweet.
I still like the taste of it. But compared to this one, it's a little watery somehow.
Really?
To me.
You think so?
Yeah.
I better taste some more.
You better taste some more.
All in the interest of, science.
Or maybe watery is probably not the right word. It just doesn't have the woo like the second one does. There's
definitely more bitterness in the second one.
Yeah.
And you're probably right, more balanced. As I figured it out, I think what I was shooting for is an IBU of...
Boy, that's good. Voice under.
What I was shooting for is an IBU of like 77 and a specific gravity of 1080. So a pretty darn hoppy beer.
Yeah.
But
this gets it.
Still pretty good.
Oh, man.
So you know what we need to do? We need to drink. We need to finish these off so we can have our glasses clear.
Yeah.
So here's the first one. Oh, and cheers, by the
first
way.
one. Cheers. And cheers to you.
Cheers to you.
Boy, you could just kind of make little growler-sized batches of beer and just kind of always have them going.
And that goes to a question. That's not it. I'm pulling pieces of paper off the floor. That's not it. Doggone it.
That's not it.
Where is it? No, I might be able to find it. Okay. Please stand by.
Please stand by.
Here we go.
Having technical difficulties.
Now, Mike from Chicago said, I've been listening for about a month now and I've gone through all the past episodes. Nice job. Thanks, Mike. My experiences in beer tasting with my wife suggest a show topic. In general, we tend to not like the same kinds of beers. I'm a bit of an omnivore, and she tends to prefer wheats and pilsners. However, every now and then we'll hit on a pale ale, especially one that is quite hoppy, that we'll both enjoy. I don't know what it is about the beer sometimes, whether it's bittering hops versus flavor and aroma hops that she likes or dislikes, or particular kinds of hops, but I'd like to find a nice pale ale to brew that we'll both enjoy. So the issue is this. Instead of me brewing a variety of different beers with different hops in order to figure it out, can you or your listeners suggest a taste panel of sorts using store-bought beers that can help distinguish a person's particular likes and dislikes? So he's saying, are there commercial examples that use hops A, B, and C that they can try together?
Oh, yeah.
So this may be a solution to that. Brew small batches.
You could brew small batches.
And do a side-by-side taste test, as kind of like you're making starters. But, you could use the same yeast. You could make a big starter of yeast and pour a little bit into each, which is what I did with this. I just poured a little bit of a yeast starter into these to get them going.
Well, this is a great thing to do. And the only... I'm thinking, if you lined up some Pilsners, if you lined up Urquell and, Starve Prague and whatever, and you went, okay, I like this, I don't like that, and you narrowed it down, you still have the challenge of figuring out, well, how do I make that beer? Or something approximating it. And that's when you go to the book, Designing Great Beers.
That's right.
Yeah.
Or the clone beer book.
Or clone beer. Yeah. Right. Well, actually, that's what I really meant to say.
Yeah.
The clone beer book, and then you can go back to the other and put together a beer that gets you where you want to go.
But by brewing little beers, you're not investing in all the ingredients for 5 gallons of beer. Mm-hmm. It's just like 2 cups of light dry malt extract.
So that you're isolating, like you did in this experiment, you're isolating a particular variable.
One variable.
One variable at a time.
Right.
Yeah.
And the hops would be the variable. Just put a quarter ounce of hops in there and brew them.
That's pretty cool.
Brew them up and see what you think.
Do I like Saz? Do I like Cascade? Do I
Cascade,
like
Amarillo? We love the Amarillo.
We love the Amarillo. I may move to Amarillo just because I like Amarillo so much.
But they're not made in Amarillo.
It doesn't matter.
Grown in Amarillo.
It doesn't matter.
You just want to move there. Just
Well,
because you're Yalla.
I like Amarillo. It's a nice city.
I've never been to Amarillo. I'm sure it's lovely.
You need to go.
I talked to a guy who runs a meat packing plant there.
It's halfway between here and Santa Fe.
Okay. Well, we better move on to our second. We're already 23 minutes into the thing. That's right. We're not going to have time for our Christmas thingy. Okay. Now this is, now you got to get your 3 glasses ready, but can I put them off to the side so we can see? This is my first batch of all grain beer. And this recipe is based on one from, it's called an Amerikolsch, and it's based on one from Scott Miller. And I tried to find the link to the original recipe. I couldn't find it. So I'm sorry. Scott Miller, if you're listening, thank you for the recipe, but I can't link back to it. I couldn't find it. Okay, so here's my first. Ooh, wow. He's got a good head on his shoulders.
Well, I'm telling you. This is
the
the first one.
And this is my second one.
Second batch.
They both have a good head, which I think is thanks to the wheat. There's a bit of wheat in there, which adds for Good head retention.
1, 2. I don't want to get these mixed up.
That's right. That'd be bad.
And then this is
The third.
the third one.
This is yours. Now, the difference in these three. Oh, and I've mixed up. Oh, well, let's be all right. We'll just drink those indiscriminately. Difference in these three. My first batch, I wasn't pleased with the mill that I got. I wasn't aggressive enough in milling my grain, and I only got an efficiency of like 48%. It was only like 1022, 1028 going into the fermenter. The second batch was better, was efficiency of 66%. So it was like 1047 going into the fermenter. So we should taste a remarkable difference between the first two. So I'm going to line them up over here.
Yeah.
And there isn't much difference in the color, really. I was expecting more of a difference in the color.
They all look about the same to me. I think that your second one perhaps is a little bit more amber.
Now looking at the screen, looking at the at our little video screen for the camera too.
It's the monitor. It's a technical term.
There is it does look like there's a darker.
I think that
the second and third look like they're darker than the first.
Yeah,
so we are seeing a difference.
Okay,
this is the same recipe for all three beers.
Yep.
Now let's taste.
Okay, which one are you tasting?
Tasting the first one first.
Okay.
Is that your first?
Yep. This is your first. I think this is a great beer.
It's very light. It's quite a bit lighter than the samples, the experiment samples.
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. This is a lot lighter.
It's a lighter gravity beer, obviously.
Yeah. And this is the one that didn't get the thorough milling.
And there's a graininess there.
This taste, I can taste grain. Yes, absolutely. It's like bread. I mean, you can really taste.
But it's not an unpleasant taste.
Oh, no, it's wonderful. I love it. I like it a lot.
Okay. And very light in body.
Yeah.
Which really is not bad. I mean, if you brew session beers, very light in body, it'd be great for just sitting around playing poker or whatever. Tremendous. You don't want to get trashed. Okay, second one.
Okay.
Now, the second one is a better, same recipe, same method, better mill on the grain. Mm-hmm. So we're getting more stuff out of the grain.
And it's a little darker.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Quite a bit more complexity.
Yeah, it is.
As you can tell, it's a higher gravity beer.
It's higher gravity. It's more complex. There's a lot more going on in this beer.
Mm-hmm. There's kind of a roastiness. Mm-hmm. It's not nearly the graininess that we were tasting before.
It's more complete. It's finished somehow more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a more mature, balanced beer. Okay.
And yet, I still like this beer.
I still like the first one.
Yeah.
You're right. But if you're shooting for a certain thing in your recipe,
exactly,
getting the improper mill on your grain might shoot you down on that.
Absolutely.
So that both of these two were done doing fly sparging or continuous sparging.
And this is done doing a batch sparge.
The third one was at your house with a batch sparge. So it'll be interesting to see if we tell a difference. And this is a younger beer.
Yeah, it's quite a bit younger. This has been in the bottle for 3 weeks.
It smells great, though. That's tasty.
It's pretty good. It's pretty darn good. You know what I think is really interesting here is that all three of these beers taste the same, but not really.
It's in the same family.
Yeah. It's like, yeah.
They're related to each other.
Am I articulate or what? Yeah. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, sure.
But it is. It's very surprising. I mean, you're definitely drinking the same beer, but they're not the same beer.
So how would you? I mean, and unfortunately, we didn't take as good of a. We were drinking lots more beers when we brewed yours.
we were having a typical home brewer.
So our measurements were not as complete as we would have liked. So we don't know the gravity difference or the efficiencies of the third beer.
No, we don't.
But I can tell that it's a little bit lighter in body.
It is, yeah. It's actually between your first and your second, as far as the body and the mouthfeel and all of that. And they're all three very pleasant beers. I could drink any of these beers a lot.
And we shall.
And we shall. Your second one, I think, is probably, if I were going to be judging it, like, okay, I'm going to be a judge. I'd probably give this the gold ribbon. Just because I think it's the most complete version of the style that we have here.
Now the gold ribbon?
Or the blue ribbon or whatever.
I think you have gold medals.
Gold medals, blue ribbons.
Pabst
blue ribbon. Who knows?
I'm sorry, I digress.
Well, so better stop that. But I do. I think this is the most complete version of it.
So, but this is what we would kind of expect from each process, and maybe we're tainted by the knowing how we did these.
But you know what? The other great thing is, I mean, let's just face it. We're making homebrew. We're having a great time. Mm-hmm. It's for fun.
And it's wonderful stuff.
It's wonderful stuff. These all taste a little bit different, but we're not trying to make Budweiser here. You know what I mean? We're not trying to make like 80. Well, but what I mean is we're not trying to make 48,000 tons of the exact same flavor.
I hear you.
That is not what we're about. What we're about is having a great time making very drinkable, very good beer that, yes, it's great fun, and I very much appreciate people that are very scientific about it. Mm-hmm. I very much do. But there's also this idea that I'm going to make this and it's going to taste this way or this way or this way, and they're all good.
Yeah. So if you mess up, if your efficiency is off a few even the efficiency was off from the first two batches by almost 20%.
Yeah.
But the first one's still darn good.
It's way good. Believe me.
So the lesson is get a good mill and expect a bit of difference in efficiency or the amount of stuff that you can pull out of the grain between fly sparging and batch
sparging.
But you can compensate with batch sparging by adding a little bit more, like a pound or two of grain.
Yeah.
So then you get the same beer with less time. So you're done with that first one.
Yeah.
And then you know what? It's the last of the kind of those first two batches.
This was it.
This is after that, no more.
Boy.
So I hope the recording works,
because
we can't repeat this experiment again. We get to fake it, but we're not going to do that.
This, as good as your second one and mine are, I really like this first beer, and what I like about it is the flavor of the grain. I really do.
So what may be considered an off flavor, or something that would give you a strike against you in a judging, I find
it very desirable.
There you go.
I don't have any problem with it. I think it's really neat. It tastes like it's, I don't know, there's something just earthy and good about it. It's kind of like if you're a baker, if you ever bake bread and you take the warm water and you put the baker's yeast down in the water and you just swirl it around, and then you kind of put your nose in and you go and you breathe it in. And it smells great. Mm-hmm. That's what this beer is like. You get that. You get that.
The grain, yeah.
The grain. Oh God, it's way good.
Which may be some of the tannins from the husk coming through from over. Do you get a tea? Do you get any bit of that astringent tea taste?
No, I don't.
See, I think I
get a
little bit of it.
Well, if there is, I don't get it. All right.
Okay, we got to move on.
We got to move on.
Oh, that was the last sip of that first batch. And I did get, I do get a little bit of the tannins at the end. I get a little bit of that strong iced tea kind of a thing. Maybe that's just...
Cane's iced tea, or it's a southern thing?
I don't know.
Okay.
Lipton. Tetley. Don't turn cloudy.
I'm sorry. Keep that to yourself.
Okay. Now, okay. Time flies when you're drinking lots of beer. I hope this is fun for everybody. It's sure fun for us.
Don't be bored and silly.
No, they're not bored and silly. They love this stuff.
I'm kidding.
I love this stuff. If you're drinking beer, you need to be drinking beer while you're listening to the show.
That's it.
That helps. Unless you're commuting. A lot of people commute, and you should not, unless you're on a train. What you need to do is get one of those insulated coffee mugs with beer in it.
That's a great idea.
As you're commuting on the train. You don't want to drive and drink. But anyway.
Holiday wish list.
Holiday wish list. Cheryl. You want to start or do you want me to start?
You can start.
Okay, John, and I appreciate everybody for taking the time. And let me do a blanket. I always appreciate when somebody takes time to write an email.
Absolutely.
To the show, or to me, because I get them all. Sometimes if they're too hard for me to answer, I forward them off to somebody who knows what they're doing. But I know that it takes effort to sit down at the keyboard and write an email, and I really appreciate that. And I appreciate people taking the time to listen. And have you seen the Frapper map?
It's turning brown with all the things on it. There's just
even in Europe. I mean, I got one from Belgium the other day, and
that's great.
Belgium's like the beer.
It's the beer mecca. We should go to Belgium
and visit
and just do a beer tour of Belgium.
I'm all about that.
We should start booking those. Like beer tours.
I'm all about
holiday adventures.
Okay, John from Sacramento, California. Says, just stumbled onto your site and heard you talk about homebrew Christmas gifts. I found a gizmo called the Hop Stopper that looks really cool. The company that makes it is called Innovative Homebrew Solutions. It's a kettle screen, and the manufacturer says it will filter whole or pellet hops, which has me very interested. I've told my wife she can put it in my stocking. So see, there you go. That's, you talk to Santa directly.
Idea. Yeah.
So I looked at the site, this Innovative Homebrew Solutions site, and if you've got it works if you've got a brew kettle with a spigot on it. Mm-hmm. You hook this thing up on the inside, and it's this mesh thing, and it filters the hops. Looks like a cool thing.
I'd say.
Your turn. Thanks, John, by the way.
Thank you, John. Brent in Audubon, New Jersey. I like Brent's take on life. Brent writes, I've got a twist on your Christmas idea. How about gifts that homebrewers can give? How true. Mm-hmm. After all, it's better to give than receive. Well,
that's right. I felt kind of guilty after I read his letter. This was like the second letter I got. I was like, hey, what do you want for Christmas? And he's like, it's all not about receiving, it's giving. I felt kind of guilty.
Here's the thing. I want Brent to come and be in my Christmas family. I really do. He says, my wife and I have been brewing holiday-themed beers for several months in anticipation of the gift-giving season. We'll be giving away 1-liter bottles and assorted six-packs.
Or six-packs.
Six-packs to friends and family. Included in the mix. Now, dig this.
I'm digging it.
This is good stuff. It's like the Rat Pack.
You're the jazz drummer here.
Yeah. Spiced cranberry wheat ale. This is the one that got me. Porter brewed with juniper berries and cardamom.
Oh.
Because, man,
you're the chef.
Cardamom is just too hip. And then
I have a cardamom sweater. No, it's cardigan. I'm sorry.
I love that band, the Cardigans. Chocolate pumpkin Dunkelweizen.
That's gosh.
And a fairly straightforward extra special bitter.
That sounds great.
Yeah, should be a fun holiday for all those on our list.
No kidding. How do I get on that list?
How do I get on that list?
Boy.
Keep up the good podcasts. I really enjoy them.
That's right. Thank you. I shouldn't say that's right.
That's right.
Yeah, they're great.
Yeah.
Thanks, Brent. I appreciate that. And, you know, I've given home brews for Christmas.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. In fact, I used to give champagne bottles full of mead for Christmas.
Until you drank it all.
Well, that too. But no, but I came across, if you're going to give away homebrew, here's something you might want to look out for. I ran across a situation at work where I was giving out mead, and hey, have you mead? And someone there was in Alcoholics Anonymous and was in recovery. And it was an uncomfortable situation. So you might want to check to make sure that either for, you know, those reasons or for religious reasons, whatever, before you offer someone that to avoid an uncomfortable situation.
Absolutely. But I'm really intrigued by this. You know, Brent, if you hear this...
You're going to solicit homebrew,
I'm going to solicit this recipe.
Oh, I thought you were just going to solicit beer.
No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't put that burden on him. But I'd love to have the recipe for this porter. I really would. So, Brent, if you hear this, send an email to the website, you know, and share that recipe. In fact, let me put a plug in. There's a recipe page on the website.
That's right.
Fill it in. Share. I mean, these just sound wonderful. So, anyway, that's enough of that. Tell us about what Caleb in Grapevine, Texas has to say.
Caleb in Grapevine, Texas says, I've just caught up with my podcast backlog. Thanks for providing a show with great content. Thanks, Caleb. Except for this one, probably. And the interesting thing is that people listen to our show, you know, and they listen to these episodes that are like months ago. And then they'll write in a comment. Like he writes in a comment on the sanitization show.
Sanitization.
Says, I'd like to add a word of support for no-rinse sanitizers. From a conservation standpoint, I find no-rinse sanitizers superior as they save water and ultimately energy, the energy used to provide municipal water. I've been using iodophor for 5 or so years with great success in sanitization and product. So good. Mm-hmm. That's good.
I concur.
Being green and energy conscious.
Yep.
As for the Christmas wish list, a wooden mash paddle is classy and a useful item.
Yeah.
I could go for one of those.
Yeah. You know, down at our farmer's market in Fayetteville, we live in Fayetteville, Arkansas, or close to it.
He does.
I do.
I live in
Prairie
Grove.
But there's a great farmer's market, and there's one of the vendors carves spoons. You know, they carve, you know, from trees. You know,
and if it's wood, wouldn't it come from a tree?
But they're really cool, and you could. What a great thing that would be
to have a custom made mash paddle. You are right.
I love it.
Okay, your turn.
Nathan in Madison, Wisconsin. Nathan
is a friend of Casey from Siloam Springs. He's in with that bunch.
All right. Nathan has some ideas. He has an old pressure cooker, 20 quarts or so. I want this for a couple of reasons, he writes. First, I want to be able to can extra wort. I'm sorry. Can extra wort to save for starters. What a great idea. This way I can have a bunch of sterile all-grain wort on hand for creating a starter anytime I want. That's a great idea.
That's an excellent idea.
Wow. Second, I want to play around with steam injection. This way, if I miss my mash, I can simply insert the steam injector and raise the temp. It would make step mashing in a cooler very easy without watering the mash down too much.
That's right.
Wow.
Steam injector. That's my nickname in high school.
Steam injector.
Okay. Kegging equipment. He was second. Kegging equipment. I'm moving you along.
Move it along.
Not to hurry through. But yes, pressure cooker for canning wort for starters. Great idea. Kegging equipment. Splitting this one among different Santas in my life. A CO2 bottle here, a keg there, and pretty soon I hope to be able to start kegging.
That's a great idea. And his third wish, you get 3 wishes, was for a book. And the book is titled Brew Like a Monk. Brew Like a Monk. That's about all the brewing-related stuff I've asked for this year. Thanks for doing the show. It's always fun to listen to.
Well, thanks, Nathan. Yeah. I appreciate your taking the time to write in. Those are all good things. Sam from Urbana, Illinois, who sent a picture along with his email of he and his members of his family and some friends playing. He's a music instructor up in Urbana.
All right.
And you're a musician as well.
Absolutely.
And he was on the piano, and his daughter was on the cello, and I can't remember what his wife was playing.
Trombone.
Anyway, it was, there you go. You're actually reading.
Wow.
But it was an Oktoberfest party, and they were having a blast. 2 accordions and
anytime you get 2 accordions together, you've got a good time.
Especially at Oktoberfest.
That's right.
So I wrote back and I said I was jealous that he was able to play music and that he had a musical family. Anyway, he says, here are a couple of low-cost items I have on my wish list. A 21-inch stainless steel spoon.
Yeah.
Kind of a twist on the mash paddle. Mm-hmm. And a wallpaper pan for sanitizing my autosiphon and tubing, which is also a good idea. We've talked about it in past episodes. So there you go. Yeah.
P.S. Here's a photo of my Oktoberfest party. Well, we can't show that.
Yeah. Well, but on the video thing, I might email Sam and see if I can put that on the video podcast. Yeah. Cool. Well, anyway, thanks, Sam.
Yeah.
Now, Rick Sellers from Pacific Brew News Radio, and he's in Roseville, California.
He writes that it's always great listening to the new shows. The Blind Mice event was a very nice treat for homebrewers, and he says thanks.
You're welcome. Thank you.
It was a great show, by the way.
Well, thank you.
My holiday wish list is simple but big. I want to begin kegging. More accurately, I'd like to get away from bottling.
See, I like bottling.
I do too.
I think it's just, I don't know. It's kind of like, what's the duck that's in the Disney cartoons? Who's the Scrooge McDuck or Scrooge? What's his name?
Scrooge?
Yeah, I don't know. He's always like going into the vault and playing with all the money. Yeah, he's always playing with all the money.
Yeah.
Well, with me, I go down to the basement and I look at all the beers. So anyway, there you go. So if you haven't checked out Pacific Brew News Radio, go to pacificbrewnews.com, and they're having some trouble with their iTunes podcast feed thing. So you might have to go to the site to download each episode, but hopefully they're having a little, issues with birthing the show. But they're smart guys. They're smart guys, and they're like BJCP certified judges, and they know about they talk about Western beers. And I've sent them some of my homebrews, so hopefully they'll like them.
Yeah, we get
talk about
some feedback.
They said they were going to judge my beers, like with a little sheet
on the radio.
I don't know. If they're good, I hope they do them on the show. If they suck, I hope they send them discreetly.
Otherwise, it's the best beer you've ever drank.
Well,
I promise you.
Thank you. I'm blushing.
But I blush.
Okay, Sean, we got to hurry.
Yeah, let's hurry.
We're getting. Okay, Sean from Tremonton. I hope am I pronouncing it right? Utah? Tremonton, Utah. And it's illegal to homebrew in Utah. Sorry.
Don't say anything.
Okay. I have a limited wish list. I've just gotten back into homebrewing after listening to your show. Well, thank you. I get a lot of that. People who are dormant homebrewers who listen to the show and then they get back into it after listening. So I'm corrupting them. I haven't brewed in about 2 years, but I'm now brewing about monthly, it seems. So here goes. A wort chiller, burettes. You know what burettes are?
Does that go in your hair?
That's barrettes.
Oh. No, I don't know what they are.
They're flasks.
Oh. Okay.
Like lab flasks.
Okay.
I had to look it up. And EDTA, I don't know what that is. Phenolphthalein? To conduct total water hardness titrations. See, he's in like QA. He's a science guy.
Yes,
he knows what he's doing. A pH meter and a propane turkey fryer type burner. He says, I have a degree in chemistry and used to work as a factory chemist at a sugar factory and had access to the chemicals, pH meters, and burettes. It's something I'm missing now. And he also said that he would like to see video episodes. So, Sean, this little video experience is thanks in part to you. This goes to
a special
to you, to Sean.
To Sean.
A reason to toast.
Salute.
To get toasted.
This is our holiday show, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And this video podcast is kind of a Christmas gift to the listeners.
Yeah.
And now viewers. If you're watching this, you're not just a listener anymore. Okay, so go ahead. Russell from Boston.
Russell from Boston, Mass. Message. Hi, James.
You don't have to read everything.
I do. My holiday wish list consists of magnetic stir plate.
You know what that's used for?
No, I don't.
For making starters, some people use a flask, and they use a magnetic stir plate that stirs the flask continuously.
Sure.
If you really want to get scientific about the whole starter thing. It's
Number 2 on this list. Mm-hmm. It has a good beat and it's easy to dance to. It's a conical fermenter.
A conical fermenter.
And number 3,
that's where you can draw off the tube off the bottom and take.
Yeah.
And that'd be good.
That I knew about. And number 3, and I know that this is near and dear to your heart.
Yes.
Is a refractometer.
A refractometer. I've asked Santa Claus for a refractometer, so I don't have to use the hydrometer in taking gravity readings before fermentation. Doesn't work so well after fermentation where there's alcohol present, but if you're like sampling your wort or whatever, refractometer, you just hope I'm in a good boy.
Because you're a visual learner.
That's right. I don't know what that means.
And what is Casey, our friend Casey in Salome?
He has a bunch of books.
Yeah.
He's going to move. He's going to move to England, I think. So I think he's...
The UK? Or England, Arkansas?
Oh, no. The real one.
The real one?
The original one.
There is an England, Arkansas.
So he wants books.
Okay.
Designing Great Beers by Ray Daniels. Good book.
Yep.
Radical Brewing by Randy Mosher.
I don't know that one.
I haven't read it.
should.
Brew Like a Monk by Stan Hieronymus. Just taking a stab at that. Sorry, Stan, if you're listening.
Sorry, Stan.
Wild Brews by Jeff Sparrow. And The Fungus Among Us from White Labs. So, and then in gear-wise, he'd like a bottle washer, a bench capper. He says you can't have too many carboys.
That's true. That is so true.
And then the wallpaper pan thing would be really handy. And he says, I think I'll have to CC this to my wife as well. So that's when I was saying that Casey was going to be sneaky.
Okay.
He copied his wife on this email
so
that Santa would know what he was wanting. That's good strategy.
Very good. Now Rick from BigFoamyHead.com.
Which is a good show. If you haven't,
I haven't heard it yet.
Go ahead and read the thing.
He says hi to you.
Hi.
And he says, but this time, let's see, we have brewing and sampling and barbecue show in Memphis.
Oh yeah, you'd like this show.
I would like
love this show.
Rick, I'm from Kansas City, and I'm a barbecue head from way back.
Yeah, and I'm from Hot Springs, Arkansas.
Oh my! Of course, trifecta.
Of course, we know that in Hot Springs. Well, I'm pointing at you.
Yeah.
I should be just pointing at me. I know, and those of us from Hot Springs, Arkansas, know that we have the best barbecue. I understand they've got barbecue in Kansas City and Memphis too, but
just a little bit. I've always said the only difference between Memphis barbecue and Kansas City barbecue, the only difference is that Kansas City barbecue is better. No, they're great. They are great barbecue. They're all great. Interstate barbecue, Corky's.
We need to take a big, long road trip.
Yeah, we do.
Okay. Hurry on. We got about 5 minutes left.
We start, let's see.
He wants so go to bigfoamyhead.com.
Just go there.
And I'm sorry this is so short, but you need to go there. Bigfoamyhead.com.
Cooler, Spar,
Bigfoamyhead.com.
I'll go there.
Go there. It's a fun show. I love it. Because I wrote Rick and I said it's great to hear a podcast where people don't have accents.
That's right.
Because they're from Memphis.
Y'all.
Okay, and then, we'll start. Okay.
Evan.
The final one, just under the wire. Sorry, Evan, that we're hurrying through yours. The one item that I really have Evan from Knoxville, Tennessee, by the way. The one item that I really have my eye on is the Suds Buddy Cooler at beercooler.com. Those are really nifty.
That sounds pretty cool. I don't know what it is.
Kind of
but
expensive,
cool.
but it's a kegerator kind of thing. But they're plastic and they're like curved and kind of different colors.
Yeah.
My goal is to get one of those with a dual faucet tower and always keep at least 2 corny kegs of my home brew in at a time. I love the portability of this cooler. Plus, it will give me my current kegerator back, or give my current kegerator back to my wife, who always seems to find a little nook or cranny to find something that didn't fit from the regular food refrigerator. So she's taken over the kegerator. And he's got.
How does this happen?
Well, it's usually the other way around. We take over, stuff that's meant for general kitchen stuff, and it finds its way into the brewing stack. He would also. Oh, go ahead.
I was going to say Evan would also like a stainless steel air stones that he's seen on several websites, and it would help speed up and make forced carbonation easier in his kegs.
That's right. Evan says, "Have a great Christmas, and thanks again for a great show." Thanks, Evan.
Thank you, Evan.
And you need some beer.
I do need some beer.
Would you want some of the Experiment or some of the Amerikolsch?
Oh, I don't care. You surprise me. It doesn't matter.
How about the more hoppy version of the Experiment?
Because we're headed for a hoppy Christmas.
Happy Christmas to everyone.
That's right.
Happy Christmas.
And thank you so much for tuning in, for listening, watching, all that kind of stuff. A little bit of a ramble today, but you could see what we were doing. And
or you could hear what we were doing.
And hear what we were doing.
So this is I want to say, this is a little early, but I want to say cheers to everybody who's out there listening and watching. Mm-hmm. And Merry Christmas to everybody. And I hope you have a Happy New Year. And thank you so much for making this experience with this podcast so rewarding. I'm going to tear up. I'm going to stop.
Don't tear up. and I just want to say Happy Holidays to everyone. This is a great, community that we've formed through this podcast, and I believe that we have friends now across the world that we didn't have before.
I agree.
So this is what beer brings people together.
Cheers.
Cheers. Cheers to you.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy holidays.